This is for my friend Jed Johnson, Blue. He wants to know just some general tips on what do you guys do for grip strength, what's changed in your grip strength training?
Well, there's a lot of things you can do for grip. One of people just commonly squeeze balls, but the key is actually to open up your hand. If you have a person squeeze your hand, you'll see what a grip they have, but hold their hand, they can't open their fingers. So the key is opening up your fingers. That's how grip experts build the grip. I like to submerge my hand into sand up to the wrist, and then open and close, open and close. And it will build the hell out of your fingers. And that in turn will build up your hand strength. So if you're a fighter, it'll prevent you from having hand injuries when you're a hard puncher. We also do a lot of gi work, gi grip. So we'll pull sleds of gi, do pull downs of gis, do tricep extension, we'll hold on to a gi exercise like that. Builds the heck out of your grip. Plus climbing ropes, one of the oldest things in the world.
You do anything with like making the barbells fatter or dumbbells or anything like that?
I never like fat barbells. We've never had them. We've never had a grip strength. We got a 900-pound puller here and an 875 behind that. They don't have any grip strength. We just use regular bars.
And nothing around the fat bars or anything like that? Just
No,
with the
I'm not a believer in fat bars.
Are not generally looking for world records, especially in the powerlifting. We're looking for general, broad, inclusive fitness. Of course, strength is essential to that. You've got something called the conjugate system, and that is a constantly varied approach.
It's a constantly rotating system that's rotated in and out by the week, by the month, and then, of course, multi-yearly.
Is it formulaic, or is it somewhat random?
It is laid out as far as on speed days, where the percentages are always the same. And on the speed squatting, the percentage will range from 75 to 85% for multiple doubles. On bench press, it stays about 40 to 50%. Max every day, the weights you always try to break an existing record, or as close as you're physically able to do on that day.
And you'll mix those three types of days in every week, or will you focus on one for a couple weeks and then focus?
No, that would be called block periodization, which was as old as it's too old. It's Milo picking up the old cow, every day, this is what this system will build. Dynamic day, force equals mass times acceleration will build speed. Max every day builds absolute strength, and after those two workouts, you pick 2 or 3 exercises, it builds muscle mass. Everything is built at one time constantly. If you don't do speed work for 2 weeks, you lose your speed. If you quit doing endurance work for a month, you lose part of your endurance. So we work everything constantly at the same time, slow but sure.
It sounds very familiar. Sounds very familiar.
Well, I started using the conjugate system in 1970 when I came out of the Army. The reason was I trained by myself. That's when I realized I had to do different rack pulls, different types of benches, different types of dumbbells, different types of box squats, so I didn't get bored. If you went and did the same thing, again, it's called the law of accommodation. If a person runs all the time and you just run, you will develop what is commonly called a speed barrier. You can only run so fast. Your body becomes like an assembly line worker. It will only go so fast. You have to stop running and do other activities to break out of that shell, and then you'll run again. You'll run faster. That's exactly how I do with NFL ball players. I take 3/10 off a lot of these guys in 2 months, and I do not run them one time.
Really? You don't do any running?
Nope.
Didn't I read that you'll do sometimes where you'll just as many reps as you can in a couple minutes or something like
Well,
that?
we do very fast, short intervals, too. We train the interval method. The interval method is doing a particular amount of work with a particular amount of rest. All right, so we have short rest periods. If I want to make your workout more intense, I just cut 15 seconds out between the sets. Yeah. If you start in a minute and the next week you do the same.
Louie Simmons, the legendary powerlifter, a coach, founder of Westside Barbell, the inventor, and the man who is credited as the mastermind behind the conjugate training, has reportedly died at the age of 74. At the time of making this video, it's not very clear when Simon passed or what could have been the cause of his death. Westside Barbell announced Simon's passing on their official Instagram, and they sent out a very touching statement that said it's with heavy heart that we announce the passing of Louie Simmons. The post read and actually went on to say that we will make a formal announcement later after we process the loss. The post also contains an excerpt from the Welsh poet Dylan Thomas' famous poem, "Do Not Go Gentle Into That Good Night." It's really very sad, and all we can say in this moment in time that rest in power, the legend Louie Simmons. This is a man who was actually born in around 1947 on October 12th, and he fell in love with weight training early on and entered the world of powerlifting in his early 20s. He has spent almost 50 plus years of his life coaching some of the sport's most notable and elite competitors, the likes of Dave, Jim, and so many others, Blackley, and so many others. The world of powerlifting and fitness has affected. A one Dan Bubble said, "I'm honest, still in shock. Really never believed the guy would go. I pray one day to have a legacy that will equal a fraction of what he is and always will be." The trainer, City Fletcher, also said, "I learned a lot from Louie Simmons, R.I.P. legend." We'll continue giving you all the updates as they're unfolding, but in this moment in time, all we can say, rest in power, the legend Louie Simmons.